Orochimaru escapes from Konoha village with Kakashi in hot pursuit. In my review of Naruto Shippuden, episode 352. It's time to go back to the past of Konoha and learn a little bit more about the turmoil of Kakashi and his meetings with some of the most legendary ninja of Konoha village. This was an interesting episode. It wasn't great. It was a little slow towards the end, and they introduced a lot of new characters, some of which, frankly, I just don't care about too much. However, they do have massive repercussions on what's going to happen with a lot of the other characters in the series. In particular, this week it really focused on Yamato, or Kinoue, or Tenzo. He has a lot of code names. Point is, you get to see what he was doing while he was working under Danzo. And what I really like about this episode the most is they sort of like pick up on what was happening when Orochimaru was leaving the village. They go right to the scene where the third Hokage and the two Anbu ninja are trying to capture Orochimaru in his underground lair, and he escapes. Now, before it's always just been assumed that he made his escape and he got out of there and it was nice, simple, and clean. But apparently that's not the case. As he was actually leaving, he ran into Kakashi and had this short confrontation where at first it seemed like Orochimaru was just going to dominate him, but suddenly there was this weird bomb that appeared in the mouth of Orochimaru's snake, which caused him to be gravely injured, and that's when he made this really cool exit where Kakashi essentially just like gets out his knife and he's getting ready to fight him, and Orochimaru is just walking towards him slowly, bleeding to death, and he just walks right past him, and as soon as Kakashi turns around, Orochimaru is gone! That scene was creepy and awesome, and it gave me the Hebe Michael Jackson jeebies. This segues into the story where we see the third Hokage has dispatched a bunch of Anbu ninja to try and capture Orochimaru before he leaves the borders of the Fireland. And this is all really interesting, because like I said, I never imagined that like he was going to have any problems getting out of this place. But Orochimaru is in complete strugglesville. As he's walking through the forest, he's bleeding to death, and even commenting on the fact that he probably doesn't even have a lot left in him. This is clearly a version of Orochimaru who hasn't really reached his peak in terms of power, but still it's interesting to see a much more vulnerable Orochimaru. But this is where it brings us to the whole Yamato scene. Danzo actually sends out Yamato to try and make contact with Orochimaru, and he takes him to this one secret cave, and Yamato finds this group of people known as the Ibori clan who have the ability to transform into smoke, and that's because they are also experiments created by Orochimaru. And there's this one girl who may or may not be related to Yamato, I'm not sure. She seems to pretty much, think that Tenzo is her brother. And there's a lot of scenes and weird, like, rapey flashbacks where you get to see Yamato hanging out in this big test tube Mewtwo style with a bunch of other weird kids who are probably being experimented on by Orochimaru. And what's really interesting here is you get to see that Orochimaru has been covering, like, a lot of different abilities. Not only was he trying to take the power of the first Hokage and put it in someone, but he's been trying to create these smoke people who cannot leave the cave. If they go anywhere where there's wind, they're just going to be blown away. So I guess we could call that a failed experiment. But the most interesting thing and the most tense thing about this episode is at the very end, it looks like Kakashi has actually discovered this cave, and as he's walking in, it looks like all of the people there are actually going to try and attack him, and I'm guessing this is where Kakashi and Yamato are going to have another really awesome confrontation, although I'm not really sure where they're going to go with this. It looks like the next week's episode is going to involve Yamato trying to escape with this girl, but the artwork and the animation for next week looks really good. As far as this episode is concerned, though, for me, it's sort of middle-of-the-road episode. It wasn't that great, and it wasn't that bad. It had a lot of elements that I liked. I really loved the scenes where Orochimaru was leaving the village and he confronted Kakashi, because it's been hinted at before that they've had some confrontations before, and I'm guessing maybe this is what that could have been, but since it's not in the manga, it's really up for interpretation. All of the stuff with Yamato and his backstory, I think, is a great idea to expand upon, because even in the manga version, Yamato's whole, backstory, he never even really had, a big flashback. They pretty much just told us he was one of Orochimaru's experiments, and he has the powers of the first Hokage, albeit on a much weaker level. But still, it was an okay episode. If you wanted to see Yamato do his creepy Yamato face as a child, I guess this is the episode for you. But there were a lot of things I wish they could have, sped up on a little bit. And, the minute the whole, Ibori clan showed up and they transformed into normal-looking people, I'm just like, these guys are going to get slaughtered. One, they don't have any distinguishing characteristics. And two, they don't really have any interesting character designs. And if that happens in the Naruto universe, chances are you're not going to be that important and you're probably going to get your ass kicked. But I'm really interested to see where they're going to go with this because I really don't know how long this whole Kakashi Anbu arc is going to be, and they could expand on so many more things. You know, I thought this was going to be strictly Kakashi's story, but the fact that they've interjected the whole thing with Orochimaru escaping and Yamato's backstory, I think is pretty clever. But this episode still could have been a little bit better. Like I said, just all the stuff with the Ibori clan that might be interesting to some, but frankly, it just doesn't interest me that much. I don't really care about those guys that much, and I'm pretty damn sure that they're all going to die because have you ever seen them again since? Yeah, that's what I thought. So because of that, the final score will be a 7 this week. Not my favorite episode of the Kakashi Anbu arc, but still it's pretty entertaining. If you are following this entire little mini filler arc, make sure and check this one out, as it does expand on a few things and will give you a little more insight onto what was actually going on the day that Orochimaru left. So, okay episode, check it out guys. So if you guys had a chance to check out this week's episode of Naruto Shippuden, it's time to let me know what you thought about it with your comments below. You can tell me about your favorite moments, maybe favorite surprises, and what you want to see from the future of this filler arc, and from the future of the entire Naruto series. Remember guys, before you leave, hit the like button, give this video a thumbs up, it really helps out our videos a lot, and it's very easy to do. And you can subscribe to the channel, check out our Facebook and Twitter, all that jazz, it's all there in the description box below. So guys, I'll see you next time. Super Kami Guru 9000, out.